If you're looking for a tank bag and have what I'd call a standard centre fuel filler, similar to this one on my Transalp, you're probably better off buying an adapter ring like this one from SW Motech that just bolts into the existing holes here and clipping your bag on. Quick, easy, secure. Thing is, not all bikes have this type of filler cap, and in the case of my Triumph Speed Twin, it's offset to the right too, so there's no way I can use it as an anchor point. Fortunately, the tank is at least metal, so I use a small magnetic tank bag. I've got two, the aptly named tank and tail bag from the Indian company TripMachine on the left, and SW Motech's Legend Gear magnetic tank bag LT1 on the right. They're both good, but I use one a lot more than the other. Let's start with TripMachine's bag. They market it as a tank and tail bag, and it does indeed come with a set of straps to allow you to fix it to the rear of your seat, or conceivably, with a bit of ingenuity, you may also be able to attach it to the frame of your bike and use it as a small side pannier. Beautifully handmade using genuine, very thick leather. Not sure which animal it is, as I couldn't find the information on the website. It smells fabulous as soon as you open the box and feels lovely in your hands. This is real quality. It's available in 4 colours: black, red, vintage tan, and the one I went for, the one that you can see here, tobacco brown. A nice touch is that they'll also personalise it with a name of your choice, free of charge. Maximum 8 letters, but they managed to squeeze the 9 letters of RocketMan onto the tag for me, which was a nice bit of customer service. I felt valued. I've had a few products from TripMachine over the years, and whenever I deal with them, I definitely get the feeling that customer satisfaction is high on the list of priorities. Quality materials, free and flexible customization option, free worldwide shipping, and even the unboxing is a pleasant experience. Non-expandable capacity of 4.4 litres, the bag measures 22 by 19 centimetres, with a depth or height, depending on how you're holding it, of around 10 centimetres. The 2 buckles can be opened up to access the bag if you really want, but it's a bit of a laborious process, so I tend to use the more modern clips that are cleverly hidden underneath and which achieve exactly the same result. Lift the flap and you can undo the non-waterproof zip fastener to access the inside, where you'll find a waterproof outer bag, 2 straps for fixing the bag to the bike seat or possibly frame, and a shoulder strap. Now, I have to say that I personally would have preferred a carrying handle fixed permanently to the top of the bag, like you get on the SW Motech. Shoulder straps are great to have when you want to carry a bag for a relatively long time, but I use these tank bags on short day trips where we will typically pull up outside a cafe or restaurant and walk the 10 metres inside. I don't need to carry the bag on my shoulder, and the strap also has to be attached and removed every time, otherwise it's going to flap around on the bike. It's all a bit of a hassle. TripMachine does include a tie for the strap to be wound up with and fixed inside the top of the bag using the press stud, but I find even that is too much faffing about for a quick coffee break, so I've never used it. Other than that, the inside is not lined. I don't think that really matters too much, but combined with the relatively narrow opening, it can be a bit difficult to see and access what's inside. There's a small phone-sized pocket in there, but if you opt for the personalisation, as I did, be aware that the 2 rivets they use to attach the name tag stick through the unlined pocket, meaning you could potentially scratch your phone. It's not been a problem for me, as I never really used the pocket, but it is something to watch out for, and maybe an improvement that could be made to future versions. On the back of the bag there are 6 sealed pockets, also used as loops for the straps should you decide to go down the tailbag route, and these contain what the website refers to as 6 super strong magnets. And yeah, they are. I got quite a shock when I put them on my beautiful custom paintwork for the first time. The bag snaps quite violently to the tank, but then curiously it's quite easy to peel it back off, almost as if the magnets dial down their strength once they're on. As with the SW Motech bag, the magnets are plenty strong enough, and I've never had the slightest movement even at motorway speeds. Each magnet is completely sealed into its soft leather pocket, and I've never had any scratches or anything like that, but the leather does leave a slightly greasy mark on the paint when it's brand new, and the way the bag snaps onto the tank is something you need to be prepared for, especially if you're obsessed about your precious paintwork like I am. So how does SW Motech's LT1 bag compare? In terms of design, it couldn't be more different really. It can be expanded from 3 to 5.5 litres, so ultimately larger than the TripMachine, but in standard 3 litre format, it immediately feels much more compact and lightweight. Its shape is reminiscent of a giant computer mouse, meaning this is a bag you can easily lift on and off your tank with one hand. Made of Napalon synthetic leather, whatever that means, according to the website, it is excellent quality, as is always the case with SW Motech's luggage in my experience. Although to be honest, the Napalon feels more synthetic than it does leather, especially when placed next to TripMachine's genuine leather bag. We used to call this sort of stuff vinyl back in the day, but I suppose synthetic leather sounds better. The LT1 is offered in brown, or the black that I went with, and crucially for me, it incorporates a top carrying handle. No shoulder carry option though, if that's something that you're looking for. Dimensions of the footprint are similar to the TripMachine at 25 by 18 centimeters, and the height is pretty much identical at 10. However, when flipped the right way up, as I say, the Motech bag looks and feels significantly smaller. That said, because you have the option of opening up the gusset to expand the capacity to a maximum of 5.5 litres, as opposed to the TripMachine's 4.4, the SW Motech is ultimately the larger of the two. I don't think I've ever used it in the expanded position, but it's nice to know I have the option. There's a grippy rubberized mat underneath, and Motech have used 6 magnets that you can feel around the inside of the lining. Each magnet is about the same size physically as the TripMachine magnets, but you can't feel or see them from the outside of the bag. More importantly perhaps, the action of placing the bag on your tank is much gentler. No snapping of magnets on precious paintwork here. As with the TripMachine, the zip to open the bag is not waterproof and, as far as I can see, is unbranded. Now I say this because it does sometimes snag and can feel a bit cheap, so some sort of YKK waterproof zip on a future iteration would be nice to see. Inside the lid you get a zip-up phone-sized mesh pocket, and the whole of the interior of the bag is lined in a sand-coloured wipe-down material. Not as luxurious feeling as the TripMachine leather, and it certainly doesn't smell as nice, but it's maybe a bit more practical, and the lift-up rather than top-load design means you can get at what you're after more easily. There are mole straps on the top and sides if you want to add the optional phone or map pouches. From what I see on the website, similar accessories are available on the TripMachine too, but I haven't found the need for these on either bag and so can't really comment on what they like to use. The Motech bag also has an opening in the front to feed a charging cable through. Now, I don't have a need for this either, but if you do, then the Motech will be the better bet because, in keeping with its more retro styling, I suppose, there's no provision for any sort of charging cable on the TripMachine bag. So, some final thoughts. Well, I've never had a magnetic tank bag slide or fall off while riding, but as I said at the start of the video, if I can, I will always favour a clip-on solution. They're more secure, both in terms of not moving at all while you're riding. I sometimes open this Pro City bag from SW Motech that I used on my Transalp while riding, and they also offer a tiny bit of anti-theft protection insofar as they will require an understanding of the release mechanism to remove the bag, so a would-be thief can't just discreetly pull it off as they walk past the bike. In addition, the downside of all magnetic bags is that grit and dirt will eventually work its way between the bag and the tank and potentially scratch your paintwork. I've never had this happen, but I use the 2 bags in this video for relatively short trips and take care to give the underside a quick wipe down with a microfiber cloth before I leave home. But if you're not careful, you'll always run the risk of picking up scratches long term. So, when I have no other choice but to use a magnetic tank bag, as with my Speed Twin, which do I prefer, German efficiency or Indian style? Well, sometimes I feel like really going for the classic look, a flex, a pose, and so I'll don my leather jacket, gloves and boots, and then I'll happily put the TripMachine on the bike. Thing is though, I don't actually do that very often, and so more often than not I take the Motech. It's easier to pick up with one hand, it goes on and off the tank more gently, it's easier to see and access what you want inside, has the all-important, to me, carrying handle, and can be expanded to 5.5 litres if necessary. I think probably if I were really heavily into the retro look, maybe if I had a genuine classic bike or a modern BSA or a Royal Enfield or even a Bonneville T120 instead of the Speed Twin, then I would use the TripMachine more. It looks, feels and smells special. It has a sense of occasion about it. Friends ask me about it. The SW Motech doesn't attract a second glance. It's a no frills, does what it says on the tin kind of bag, but it's ultimately more practical, more versatile and easier to use. And it's my go-to magnetic tank bag. Anyway, that's all for today. Let me know in the comments if you've come across any good alternatives, and as always, thanks for watching.